Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video is going to be all about speed, specifically the speed specialist, and you will see it already on my screen on the right. That's what I'm going to be picking, starting with the Sabers and the Hounds. Now, Sabers have been pretty much the top tier pack, I think, for the past couple of weeks, and well, I am going to give it a try here. I think that speed specialist is probably one of the best pairings you can get with them because, well, they're already tanky, they deal a lot of damage, they can snowball like crazy if you manage to get some levels, but they aren't the fastest. But with the speed specialist, suddenly you're looking at 11 meters a second, which really isn't too bad. Now, I'll be up against a 201 player here. I think he's around 2150 MMR, and he starts with spiders. So already here, I have a absolutely fantastic matchup. Could not be wishing for a better one, really, because I've got Hounds versus Fangs. They can one-shot them, unlike with Crawlers. And I've got, of course, Saber against Tarantula, which is the best matchup that you can get, period. You can two-shot these spiders, and it will make it very, very hard for him to, well, do anything in the early game. He'll be going for Void Eyes with Absorb on round 1. Not a bad pick at all. I think Void Eyes are quite good into Sabers, and they're especially good into things like Hound. But still, matchup here is very much in our favor. I do happen to be in a headbutt, which makes things even better. So we've gone as good of a start as we could hope for. Now let's see if we can actually convert that into something meaningful, right, in the early game here. So yeah, Sabers will just clean things up. He did manage to kill all of my Hounds and my Crawlers, but that's gonna be all she wrote. And yeah, Sabers, honestly, they level decently quick. I mean, 1,000 experience is the same as something like Steel Balls, but they have a tendency to survive a little bit more easily. And yeah, already we're looking at, you know, more than 50%. This one not quite, but, you know, halfway there on the experience requirements. Round number 2, nothing really too interesting. I mean, there's the Rhino Assault there. Very powerful spell. I feel like you always have to consider those whenever you or your opponent is playing aggro, because it's very hard to defend these spells on round 2. And it just feels like typically you'd want to trade them. Now, my opponent goes for a very interesting card, which is Extended Range Phantom Ray. I have done some testing with that myself. It's fun. Hard to pull off, though. And yeah, well, he does go for the Phantoms, but I'm going to go for that Rhino Assault, and we'll just have to see if he can somehow mount a defense here. Opts to go for double Phantom in the back, so he is trying to defend against that unit drop. And puts down a missile on the right side, so really seems to be quite wary of a right side attack from me. And now for me, what else do I want? Well, I need to get some anti-air. I feel like that's the only other requirement that you have whenever you're playing a game like this. You have to get some anti-air on the board on round number 2. If you have like triple Fang as a start and they're in the back, you can sometimes get away with that. If you have a Marksman start or you have Mustangs already, you'll be fine. But otherwise, typically it's gonna be the Phoenix. And so yeah, I put the Phoenix here on the left. You will see that it's on the tower height. That way it blocks the any flank attempts from my opponent. Rhino does get in. Phantom, sadly, don't have the damage to take it down. So we will get a debuff. And yeah, this is looking really good. I put a Crawler, by the way, all the way in the bottom right here to try and delay a Rhino if he were to go for it. We do trigger the missile. It takes down our Rhino, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Phantoms, one of them going to go for my tower, so we will get debuffed, but in return, we'll take his second tower, and this should just be all she wrote for this round. Now, keep in mind, Extended Range Phantom Ray gets 30 range, but it decreases the hit points by 40%. So normally, Phoenixes can't one-shot Phantoms at equal level, but because of that Extended Range Phantom Ray card, I can. And that makes this all the more easy for me to just invest into some Phoenixes and deal with this anti-air that way. Round number 3, well, we talked about speed, and that's exactly what we're going to get. Advanced Power System shows up. That is a nasty card to get whenever you're playing aggro with Speed Specialist. It can be so incredibly difficult for your opponent to deal with even the simplest of things, like Crawlers when they have 6 meters, potentially even 9 meters a second more move speed, right? Because I can still click the high mobility on the left tower. Are a serious threat. They are a lot more scary that way than normal, and honestly, regular Crawlers are plenty scary as is with the Subterranean Blitz or the Loose Formation techs available. Now, we're going to go for a little bit of a right side tower cheese here on this round. Opponent decides to go for the incendiary bomb. We'll burn most of my stuff, but, well, he added a lot of chaff on the left side, so maybe we can just burn his stuff as well, and then hopefully push through on the right side. I put a crawler all the way in the top right. What that's going to do is it's going to pull away anything in this top right square that I'm drawing, as you can see. And then that opens up the space for my crawlers to get in with the help of the phoenixes and grab that tower debuff. Exactly what I was hoping for. Crawlers spawn in. We're going to be able to take down his crawler pack, and then the phoenixes will take down the phantoms that were on the right side. Left side not doing as well. Obviously, the fire there did hurt, but it also burnt most of his chaff. And it looks like, well, as the flank comes in, we'll be just fine. Keep in mind that my opponent here spent 150 on that spell, still lost a round, and I got a card that's going to, you know, remain a benefit for me throughout this game. So really in a super, super good spot here. Now, round number 4, we have Mustangs offered from the unit drop. I was considering either going Fire Badger here or Mustang. Fire Badger because my chaff gear right now isn't the best. I mean, I have some hounds with levels, so I could invest into that, but Fire Badgers could be nice as well. But I end up settling for the Mustangs too, because I'm saying to myself, well, opponent has Phantom Rays with extended range, he doesn't run armor. Mustangs are just really solid to have once the mid game or late game comes around, especially with those, you know, levels already being there. So just gonna take those, put them on the left to try and cover this left flank, and then one in the middle. Also trying to kind of split them to help out with these fangs. We level the hounds, important to grab those levels because, again, there's that breakpoint with the crawlers. Saber levels have been picked up as well. That's going to make things all the much harder for my opponent because now I believe we one-shot his tarantulas. Yep, we do. 15. Oh, actually, I don't think we do. I have to grab the attack enhancement for that to be a thing because he's already taken both tower enhancements, but still nearly one-shotting those tarantulas. He decides to go for range, picked up the Mustangs as well. Puts a spider all the way on the top right there. Big overcommit, I would say, to try and deal with the flank. And not entirely sure if that's going to... Yeah, everything gets pulled again. And he hasn't done anything about this. So, while he dealt with that flank relatively quickly, we managed to get into the tower, and my Phoenixes finishes it off. So that's another debuff here on round 4. As we are simply barreling through and crushing the opposition here. And this is kind of what can happen, right? Like, if you have a very good start with those sabers, with the speed spec, you can put your opponent in a very, very scary position by round 5 or 6. Now, of course, you won't be able to replicate that every single round, but here we've pretty much been able to do whatever we want, right? We managed to cheese the right tower, we managed to take a tower with a spell, and we had a good matchup to begin with to make things even worse. And now that we've got some experience, we're well in the lead. And opponent is down to 1,000 hit points. Now, round number 5, we have not the most interesting cards, but super heavy armor here could be worth considering. I think I prefer that over the Amplifying Core, actually. Amplifying Core got nerfed not too long ago, and it's a card that I really don't pick that often anymore. At 150, which means that you will need to pay 200 for it, right? Because you don't get the skip. It really is very expensive. Compared to something like Super Heavy Armor, which is only 50 more expensive and gives that 150% bonus hit points, this can be a real threat. And now that we put it onto our level 2 Sabertooth, this thing has almost 80,000 hit points, and it's just going to be so hard for our opponent to take down. I've got some levels here available on my Phoenixes. Oh, but there is a Wasp drop, of course, that I ignored. Not too happy about that one. I don't know. Yeah, I have no money left, so it seems like we might get debuffed ourselves here. Just picking up a whole bunch of levels, adding a Hound and a Sabertooth here on the right side to push in. We did go for the high mobility. I'm not loaning. Opponent does have the range on the Phantoms, has 1 level, added more of them, but we'll get that debuff. That is not ideal. Will he be able to take down our Saber is the question. It is locked onto that Spider. There does seem to be a bit of a bug in the game with these shots from the Phantom Rays seemingly going all over the place. I believe it's just a visual bug. They do still go where they're meant to go, but Looks very funky. Sabertooth, by the way, able to recover from that debuff and still takes down all of the spiders on the left side. Phoenix is going to be able to clean up at least part of the phantoms there. And, well, while we do sadly lose the round, it's not too bad of a loss, right? We're still sitting very comfortably at 4k hit points. And, well, we just have to make sure that we don't get debuffed the same way that we just did. Round number 6, Wraith, Arclight, Wasp, and Vulcan available. And, well, here I'm thinking, okay, Wraith seems to be the most powerful. Wraith also should be able to deal with the Wasp. Opponent does have a fair bit of chaff. My chaff clear is alright, but not the best. And, well, this is just going to be very hard for him to kill, right? He's already struggling killing this big Saber. The Phantoms don't really have the highest damage. They are now all level 2, so he managed to pick up some levels. But, yeah, still DPS is not, like, the most amazing, so I think Wraith does make the most sense. If I take Wasp into Mustang, I would probably need to grab like range and AA, and that starts to get kind of expensive. So instead we're going to go for the Wraith, and we're going to pick up the armor enhancement as well to increase the hit points by 35%. It'll help as well to mitigate some damage, but I'm mostly taking it to just really hammer down on the tankiness aspect of my team. Missile comes out for our opponent. He does have the Lone. We should go for temp speed. We probably should Lone, get the temp range. Yep, there we go. Try and play for a finishing move. Opponent goes for the Wraith 2, but instead of going for a single tech, he takes 2 with the Degeneration Beam and the range enhancement. It's alright. I mean, Wraith is really good into things like Hound. It's also pretty good into the smaller units, and my Mustang right now don't have range, so it might be able to perform. It's just going to come down to whether this level 2 Phoenix can take that down. Rhino going to get spawned in on the left, just kind of trying to double down on a bunch of tanky units that are pushing in from this diagonal. And gonna add some fangs here on the right to try and cover any like Wasp attempt if it comes through. He didn't pick it though, and now we'll have to see how this goes. Wraith doing pretty well. My Wraith is tanking for the moment. Will eventually go down, but I think it did a decent job of blocking. And Phoenix is looking pretty safe in the back there. Going to be able to take down that Wraith. I presume we get both of the tower debuffs. Yeah, Saber is just pushing through. This is a very common thing as well with Saber comps, right? You can't just abandon the ground, because if you abandon the ground, the Sabers are simply going to go for your towers. They can't shoot up, so they're going to look at anything that is still on the ground, and just so happens that the towers are there too. So we do manage to win this game pretty convincingly, a 6-rounder, but right now it seems like that's a relatively common thing. There's plenty of games where, like this one, I win in 6 rounds, and there's plenty of games like this where I lose in 6 rounds. And it all comes down to just these very high tempo packs and picks. If you manage to get the right matchup, if you manage to get, you know, the right side of the board, especially here, you could just snowball so much in the early game. You know, add to that some of the spells, some of the call-ins like that Rhino, the Wasp, Underground Threat, I know is now around 3 spell, but can also just, you know, create these debuffs that can deal so much damage. We pressured the right tower a bunch as well, got a couple debuffs there, and suddenly our opponent is staring down, you know, only having 1,000 hit points left by round 4 or 5. And yeah, I mean, what else could you ask for? Speed spec, advanced power system, get the high mobility. Suddenly these guys are moving in at 17 meters a second, you know, faster than base crawlers. And with 80,000 hit points almost and 18,000 damage per shot, it's going to be very hard to stop these guys. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of Sabers, you know, the current meta. Have you had similar games like this where it seems to just be over like that? Let me know. If you want to stay up to date on latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.